Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Volume 7 in the series I have been reading, Solo Leveling. This is what the cover of Volume 7 looks like, and if this is the first video you're watching from me, I do have reviews of Volumes 1 through 6 on my channel, so I am going to assume you have some familiarity with this series going into this review. So if you need to watch Volumes 1 through 6, go and do that now. Otherwise, we're going to dive in and discuss what happens in Volume 7 of Solo Leveling and my thoughts on it. So let's get started. Volume 7. The first thing I want to say is sometimes it takes me a while to get my hands on the next volume in an ongoing series. That's because I use the library. So it looks like my library got this in August, but I'm just reading it now in December. But the wait was worth it, and this was a very enjoyable entry in this series. So the plot points are continuing, particularly around the ant invasion, which is occurring, and there's a joint operation on, is the island Jeju? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Jeju Island, which has been infested by ants. This joint operation is between the nations of Japan and South Korea. There's an ant queen and a bunch of ants that they are trying to clear off this island before they make it onto the mainland and really cause a lot of havoc in the nation of South Korea. The joint operation initially is going as planned. It's actually being televised on TV and things seem to be going well, and they wind up killing the queen. And all of this is happening without Jin-woo, our main hero, who is featured on the cover, participating. So the mission seems to go well. They kill the queen. There are some residual ants they're going to have to take care of, and that is when a very, very powerful ant warrior appears who is calling himself the king, and he is looking for the human equivalent of the king to challenge, and he is something well and beyond anything that the joint team can handle. He is incredibly powerful, and he also seems to be able to take on the abilities of people, warriors, hunters that he eats. So he is quite dangerous, and the joint operation is not sure they're going to be able to take on the ant king, but Jin-woo shows up just in the nick of time and winds up battling this ant king for supremacy and also to either destroy him and keep the ants from invading, or if of course the ant king wins, it's going to be quite bad for South Korea. Also there's another side of this series where we see the continual internal politics for these S-rank hunters that is going on between the nations. So even though these hunters are battling monsters that come through portals or enter or having these dungeons that need to be cleared by hunters, and you would think that this would create a level of unity in the world because they're facing these monsters that need to be destroyed and need to be mitigated, let's say. You would think that's creating a level of unity, but it's not. Each country we see still has their internal politics, and each nation in the world wants to take the best hunters for themselves so they can get prestige, so they can get fame. And there's even some interest regarding this island that's being cleared right now, because if South Korea can do this, they're putting themselves in an elite group of nations that have been able to clear such a high-ranked dungeon, and they want this prestige themselves. So we see that even though we would think that these monsters represent a threat to all of humanity, humanity is not united over this. Humanity is quite divided over this. And each faction, each nation, not only the nations, but also the guilds within nations, are all competing with one another for personal prestige, which I feel like is kind of a unique take on how humans react when faced with a problem. We would hope that humanity would unite in the face of a common problem, but it seems like humanity has done their usual human things and still splintered, and each group is still trying to get their piece of the pie, per se, when it comes to S-rank hunters and prestige and having the best of the best. So throughout this entire volume, we're also seeing Jin-woo being courted by different people, particularly the United States, to come and to be on their team. Jin-woo is clearly something that's in a class of his own. We've seen him, of course, move from the very bottom ranks of just someone who's trying to support his sister and his sick mother to someone who seems to have unnatural powers. Not only has he had a second reawakening, which has moved him from a lower level to a higher level, which is also incredibly rare, but he also appears to have an unlimited cap on potential. At one point, Jin-woo meets with an American woman who claims, or a woman who's working with the Americans, I guess her nationality is never discussed, who can power up someone, which is something that, power up a hunter, I should say, which is something that normally doesn't occur, but she has the ability to do this. However, when she attempts to power up Jin-woo, it becomes clear that this is something outside her control. She actually gets quite freaked out because she sees that there is a limitless potential inside Jin-woo, which is quite terrifying, but also, of course, ups the the ante, I guess you could say, because now everyone wants a piece of this person who has no cap or no limit, which everyone already wanted a piece of Jin-woo to begin with. So that is notwithstanding. The system, which is something that we still haven't received a lot of answers with, is kind of ever present in this volume. Some things we're just taking for granted, like the fact that Jin-woo has an inventory and he can see spells and he can power up and he sees levels. He has these video game type-esque characteristics that no one else has, but at this point he's kind of taking a lot of that for granted. He does wonder when the American woman sees inside him and realizes she cannot power him up, or she's too scared to power him up because he already has limitless potential. He does wonder if she's seen something that he can't quite figure out yet, this system. The system is kind of this ever-present third party that's lurking in the background. We're still not sure what the system's intentions are. We're not sure what the system's why Jin-woo was chosen. There's a lot of things that are still not clear about that, and I think that's what keeps this series interesting, because we don't know all the players. It's not like we have Jin-woo and these monsters and then the South Korean government and then the guilds within South Korea and then the US and then the US guilds. It's not like we know all the players in this series, and I think that's what keeps me so interested and hooked in this series, is because we do not know all the players. We don't know who the system is. We don't know who, if anyone, is controlling it. We don't know their end motives, and we don't know why Jin-woo was chosen. We're not sure what the system is hoping to do or accomplish with Jin-woo. So I think having an unknown player, an unknown third party that's kind of hanging out in the background that even us as the reader doesn't know about, is keeping the series very fresh and interesting and driving a lot of the plot points forward. I also like, of course, the aspect of humanity not unifying in the face of a common threat, but instead splintering and each trying to get their own personal prestige, money, power, whatever they can get from this. I do like that aspect. And of course, I like the art. This series has had really good art overall, I think. And there were a couple scenes that I wanted to show you. I like the use of color in this volume in particular. We have this super cool scene where Jin-woo is facing this Ant King right here, and I really liked this scene. This is on page 95 if you have the copy at home, but I really liked this one right here. And the second one, this one right here, where Jin-woo has kind of come into his full power and is facing the Ant King, and the Ant King is realizing that he may have bitten off more than he could chew. I just really like the use of color in this. The series has always had really good art and I really enjoy it, so I've been loving that aspect as well. And the cover is cool. This is definitely a series that's more heavily focused on the action as well. So if you don't like a lot of action scenes, or if you like a lot more of the thinking about how humanity's facing these problems, the series might kind of, for you, feel like there's a lot of interludes of these fight scenes, but the action is part of the series and I've been liking it as well. So overall, I think the series is great and I'm excited to get volume 8 and continue reading the series and see what happens with Jin-woo, and particularly what happens with this system that seems to be controlling him, because I'm very intrigued about the system and what it may have in store. If you've been reading the series and have reached volume 7, please let me know what you think about the series in the comment section below. I love to receive comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a great rest of your day.